month. But the next year, there was a waiting list for first grade to get in my classroom. And so, you know, I thought I was a pretty good teacher. And I liked the kids, they liked me, and that's a true key to teaching and being successful. You have to like children. And if you don't like them, don't teach. Now, my other experiences were all positive. That was the only negative thing. And then, after 19 years in teaching, then I became the assistant principal at Laurel Ridge Elementary School up on Commonwealth. Okay. And then I was there for about 8 months, and the area 4 superintendent moved me to John C. Wood Elementary School in the city of Fairfax, but it's run by Fairfax County. And I was there 5 years, and then I moved to Greenbrier West, which is in Centerville, and then came back to Braddock Road to Willow Springs Elementary School. And then I retired, and we traveled for a year. I got bored, so I couldn't teach in the state of Virginia, so I went to Maryland and taught 7 more years. So altogether, I've got 41 years in education. And it's all been successful, and I've been happy with it, so no complaints whatsoever.
But why did it take them so long to integrate? I mean, were they fighting it? Was Fairfax County fighting it? It took them 11 years?
Well, I'm sure they were fighting it, but you had to follow what the court said, so somebody had to break down and say, let's do it. So that's how it happened.
Was your first teaching assignment in one of the all-black schools?
Yes.
And where was that?
11 Oaks.
Oh, at 11 Oaks. Okay.
Oh, so they started you with an all-black school?
Oh, yeah. That was 1960. Yeah, that was 1961.
She was a teacher?
Yeah. You started like the second half. Someone else was the first half, but remember you started the second half.
Right, I was teaching 5th grade, and the teacher that came to replace the 1st grade teacher was a man, and the principal wouldn't let him have that class, so they moved me up to 1st grade. And it didn't matter because, you know, if you got your degree teaching when I did, you learned to teach everything from K through 8. And you had to specialize and have one subject that you could teach in middle school. So I went for math, but I never did have to do it because I enjoyed elementary just as much. So.
But where did you go to school? Where did you study?
Well, I went to the Fairfax Fellow School on School Street, and then I went to Manassas until 10th grade, and then I came to Luther Jackson and graduated from there in 1957. So, but
Do you remember the name of your principal at Luther Jackson?
Was it Taylor Williams?
No, he lived across the street from the school.
The reason I'm asking is that I can't remember his name either. But he interviewed me in 1964-65. I was the assistant principal.
Was he a black man?
Yeah.
Taylor Williams was the principal.
Oh, that is it, Taylor Williams.
Taylor Williams. Yeah.
I had interviewed him whenever the school's integrated. Luther Jackson was open. Don Colvin got there.
You know, Luther Jackson was.
I know in 1966 they built Robert Frost Intermediate. That's where I went, and that was the first integration because I was scheduled to go to Luther Jackson, but because Robert Frost opened, they sent us, and we were the first group to go from 66 to 67. We lived right on the line, the county line. Ox Road, George Mason.
Well, I've enjoyed being here, but I need to run.
Yeah, but were you able to teach after high school? You became a teacher after high school education?
No, I went to college.
Where was this?
St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia.
Mm-hmm. And then was that integrated?
No.
Okay. And then you came back and you taught in a black school first.
Yes.
And then they integrated and you moved to,
Oh boy. A long time ago.
did they ask you if you wanted to teach in an integrated school? How did that go? Was it a nerve-wracking time?
No, they just selected certain people, you know, based on your record in the classroom, and you got moved to whatever school needed a teacher.
And so the first year was the hardest one who moved the students out of your class?
The principal did.
The principal.
Yeah.
Because the students asked to be moved out?
Because the parents asked to move them.
What year was that?
See, I started in 61. I would say like 66.
They were still,
66 or so.
How did you travel to Luther Jackson?
On a bus.
On
On a bus.
You did?
Yeah. You know,
Where
back
did you live then?
right down here on Zion Drive. But we had to catch the elementary school bus up to the city of Fairfax
Yeah.
courthouse,
Yeah.
sit on the brick wall, and wait for the bus to come from somewhere
Something like
else.
that, because there's no
Yeah.
bus station in here,
No.
yeah.
And our high school classes and what we were learning at the time would have been equivalent with whatever was being taught at the college level. So, I mean, you did not play in school. You know, you took every day of it serious and you studied, you know. My dad used to sit us around the kitchen table and if we didn't get all the homework and know everything that you were supposed to know in order to succeed in class the next day, well, guess what? You got it.
Even going to the segregated schools, because I went to 11 Oaks, you learn the same, well, as far as we know, we were learning the same thing, math, English. We learned a foreign language in the 6th grade. That was good, we thought, even though we didn't think we would ever visit to France or anything, but you still had, I would say, a good part of education. As far as jobs, the government was the biggest hiring place here, or the county. But the county of Fairfax back in the 60s and 70s was very limited also to, you know, people of color, because they didn't hire into a lot of the different positions. I think there was only one, Carter lady.
Miss Honesty, the child, what was the child named Mary? Miss Honesty Ray was the first black child that got a job in Fairfax County.
Was it Hill?
Yeah, one of the Hill troops.
Yeah.
What's the first name? I know the child.
So even it was still segregated, the workforce. And I know most of us just had ideas we would go to the government to get a job somewhere, or the county. Then, you know, it was hard to get in to work in the upper, you know.
4 houses left here on Zion Drive that belong to blacks, because everybody else is sold and gone. My house, her father's house, her aunt's house, your grandmother's really,
Yeah.
and then Carol Carter's house. That's all that's here. But anyway, we walked to school. We went where the bowling alley is down here. We went across the railroad track, went through the woods, and we walked to school. We'd come out by the cemetery, over by the Little Zion Baptist Church. So that's how we got to school. And when we get there in the wintertime, you'd have to the teacher would make the fire, you know, her and the boys and girls, and then we'd drink hot chocolate, and then we'd start classes. We had one teacher that taught from the 1st to the 7th grade. And then we'd have 10 o'clock recess, 12 o'clock we'd have lunch, then we'd have a 2 o'clock break, and then we'd get out of school at 3. And then we'd walk on back over here to, what it was called Sideburn then, it wasn't Zion Drive. We walked back to Sideburn. But no, and in the wintertime, we'd have to walk down the railroad track and walk all the way around the road, like if it snowed or something, because we didn't have snow days then. You went to school, rain, snow, hail, or blow. And then we'd walk all the way around through Burke, where the post office is now. And that road that's closed off, we'd go down that road and walk on to school. Yeah, so that was our story. And,
you didn't miss a whole lot of days.
no, you didn't miss time from school. The teacher walked with us.
That's right.
No transportation for her either. No, all of us, everybody, well, just about all, you know, all through here was black people at one time. And starting up at the end of Cyburn Road, this side, and then coming all the way down. And all the kids, you know, we get together. The teacher used to stay at Mrs. Wright's house, which used to be right up here across from Abernathy Lane. It was a big white house that had pillars all around it. The teacher would stay there, and in the morning, all the kids, she'd stop there, and we'd gather all the children, and we'd walk to school. So, then when we got ready for high school, she was the only black child on this side that was going to Manassas. And there was they didn't send a bus through here. She had to walk out to, about to Burke Road. Yeah, from where we live here, all the way out past the bowling alley and all out to, you know, where Burke Road starts. You know, like if you're going to Old Burke. That's where the bus would pick you up. And my mother and I used to walk with her to catch that bus, and then we'd walk back in the evening because they didn't have transportation through here.
We didn't ride a train to Manassas?
No, we went on the bus. They'd give us a old raggedy bus, and sometimes you'd make it to Manassas, and sometimes it'd break down. But that's where we went to high school. Elementary school up at Fairfax. That's what he wants to know. After Pearson School, they sent him to school. Yeah, the elementary school on School Street up in the city of Fairfax. It was called 11 Oaks.
11 Oaks.
That's where. No, it wasn't 11 Oaks then. It turned into 11 Oaks. It was Fairfax Elementary. Huh?
Fairfax Elementary Colored School.
Yeah. I didn't go there. They went there because I moved on to Manassas, the high school. But then Murray now, her age group, they sent up to the city of Fairfax.
Is that the same building that's there now?
No, now the whole building has been demolished. It was made into the area for
Right, the area for office, right.
But there's going to be a historic marker put there, because we just passed the redevelopment plan for 11 Oaks, and there'll be a marker for the school put in that subdivision.
Yeah, I used to work in that school cafeteria. I was married and had kids then, and they went to 11 Oaks. But it was, when you all went, it was a smaller building.
It was just like the Pearson School.
One room. Right. But then
Right.
she went to the brick building. Yeah.
Let's see.
And
7 classrooms now.
After 54, after the Supreme Court decision, how long did it take Fairfax to integrate the schools? Did they do it immediately, or did they drag their feet for a
No,
long
they
time?
drove their
Probably about 10 years.
That's 11 Oaks, the history marker will say 11 Oaks was the last school to desegregate in 65. So it took 12 years, or 11 years.
After the court's decision. Wow.
I saw the original map it said the Crawford Bridge was C-O-P-H-E R. When did they change the spelling?
Was there farming in here?
What?
Farming. Small
Farming.
farms.
Not big time.
No, not big. The Hopkins used to, and then I take it's a place. The big house is still down on Burke Road. As you're going into Burke, it's a big white house that sits on that hill. Well, right across, they used to have a big farm, and they had a house on the left-hand side. You go there and you buy milk and butter and eggs and stuff. That was on Burke Road. We used to have to walk there. down at, you know, our parents used to understand at the
That
back. What was
was
the name
Judge
of it?
Ritchie's farm.
Ritchie's
It was
Farm.
quite a acreage, you know,
Yeah.
all the way up to the corner.
Yeah, well, like that big,
The road.
it's a beautiful, the big house is
Yeah,
still
that's-
sitting there. But across the road, they had the little white, the little smaller
Oh,
place.
the dairy farm.
Yeah, that was the only big farm. And the Hopkins used to have cattle. Miss Hopkins' son, Amos, used to be a postman. He used to work in the post office up in Fairfax for years and years.
That was all dairy cattle then, right? No beef cattle. It's all dairy cattle. That's all dairy cattle.
Dairy cattle,
Mhm.
milk cattle.
Yeah.
Well, my history goes back, I remember around 1949 or 1950. I lived at, I grew up in a little town just south of Lake Ontario, New York State, and there was one of, I don't know, 10, 12,000 people. And I, until I was about 13, I had never seen a black person.
Really?
And I'm the same thing, I was like, actually, I graduated high school before I saw a black person, and then I worked with her in the office, and she was a well-educated woman. She did, I worked in the electronics laboratory, and she did a doctorate. Yeah.
I never seen a black man. We never learned anything about the Civil War. It was always the Revolutionary War up there. That's, you know, all the battlegrounds and all that.
Yeah, but with the white people that live right here, like Miss Hopkins and the Dyers, the Young, we had a good relationship. You know, they all of them used to call my grandmother Aunt Liza. And, you know, we'd go down to their house, or we'd be going to the store, we'd stop out, see Miss Hopkins more than anything, because, you know, she'd give us a nickel or a dime, or cookies or something, you know. And we had a good relationship with the ones that lived right around here, because everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
It's not like now. Yeah, it was community.